One of the most common questions I get asked is, what exactly will I be doing in my AI business that's able to generate the income I'm looking for quickly? Well, today I'm going to give you the inside scoop. I'm going to walk you through the setups we've done for our clients across various industries, helping them secure $93.2 million in deals just in the last 6 months. Not to mention the significant money saved along the way. Take Catalyst Solar, for example, a nationwide company with 250 agents across the US, or Charles Netter, who runs the Berkshire Hathaway brokerage and added $4.3 million to his pipeline in just 3 weeks using AI. Or a law firm that automates 85% of their intake process, saving 40 hours per week and $7.5 thousand per month in payroll costs. We are at the precipice of a new era. If the last decade was defined by Shopify, FBA, and SMA, this decade is all about the AI AaaS agencies. That's AI agents as a service. Listen, in 2016, SMA and Facebook ads made people millions and created the Iman Ghazis and the Brett Scales of the world. In 2018, Amazon, FBA, and Shopify exploded and created the Rob the Banks of the world. But this right here is different, and we're not talking about arbitraging attention or selling physical products. This is about replacing labor with AI agents and selling it as a service. That's where we come in, offering agents as a service, or AaaS for short. Now, with this model, you're not bogged down with fulfillment or inventory or weekly client meetings or the usual headaches of putting out fire. It's a platform that you get to run and scale at your own pace. So let's dive in and get a closer look under the hood. So assignx is a no-code AI operating system for sales and support. And we have fine-tuned various agents across verticals. This is intended to make these AI agents 10x more performant and not just a general-based agent. Let's start with Catalyst Solar. Okay, so Catalyst Solar manages a nationwide team of 250 reps, and they handled thousands of leads. But they were struggling to keep the deal flow coming, and door knocking is their main mode for lead gen. They wanted to try something new. So here was their expectations and goals going into this. Catalyst's main goal was simple: reactivate 12,000 dormant leads in their Salesforce CRM and speed up their process without hiring more SDRs. Okay, system integration. So here is how we set this up for them. We connected their Salesforce to assignx for automated lead qualification and Google Calendar for scheduling the appointments. Now, leads are automatically assigned from Salesforce over to assignx. And this is where the AI agent will qualify them and then book the appointments directly on the rep's calendar. Or in some instances, do a live transfer to an agent once the lead has met certain criteria thresholds and is deemed hot by the AI. Now, before I dive into the results here, I actually want to show you guys what we have set up and what their system looks like. So let's go on over this way. Okay, so their primary CRM is Salesforce. That's what they use. And they've got about 12,000 leads sitting in here. How did we break this up? How did we actually run the entire process and set up the system for them? What we've done is we took all 12,000 leads and we broke them into 4 different categories. And the reason why we did that was to actually test the different angles and the different scripts for these AI agents. Let me explain. In this case, Ashley is doing the solar saving campaign. Her angle around this is she's educating homeowners about reducing their electricity bill with solar, whereas Mike here is pushing government incentives. So he's informing them about limited tax benefits and the credits and rebates that come with installing solar. And then we have Aria here, whose main angle is neighborhood related. She's notifying neighbors that have recently installed solar and offering a free consultation. And then we've got Mike here, and his main angle is the stock standard lead reactivation angle, where he's following up with homeowners who may have previously shown interest but didn't move forward, right? So his main pitch is, hey, I know you spoke last, or hey, I know you reached out to our company a while ago about solar, just reaching out to see XYZ. Now, this is a strategy that we wanted to implement with this campaign because we wanted to see which angle was going to actually perform the best. We also have a 5th agent, and that is the receptionist. Now, the receptionist's main goal is to take incoming calls from the missed calls and the voicemails that these 4 agents leave to then qualify those homeowners when they do call back. That was an important process in this. Diving deeper into their scripts, they all have different greeting, different permission-based openers, and different KYCs. So KYC is what we call Know Your Customer. As your AI reaches out to talk to a prospect, you want to know more about that prospect to deem that they're actually qualified. So in this case, the AI is going into, hey, can I ask how much are you currently spending on your monthly electric bill? That tells us their need. Then it goes into the motivation. Have you ever looked into how solar could reduce that? Or is this your first time exploring? And then urgency. If you found out you could start saving without any upfront costs, would that be something you'd want to look into sooner rather than later? They all have different KYCs and a different opener based on their objective and angle in this conversation. Let's zoom in on the measurable outcomes that we may be looking for. So this is all baseline assumption, and this is an industry average. So in solar, we can assume our contact rate. We have key metrics that we're measuring: contact rate, engagement rate, qualification, booking, and info request rate. and then dead leads, of course, right? Now, if we look at this from a conservative standpoint, we can say 20% we contact. Moderate and optimistic, give us different percentages. We will take a conservative approach in this, just to kind of see what we would actually, what the outcome could be for Catalyst Solar. Now, I personally like having some sort of projections in any campaigns that are run to set the key expectations, but also the key metrics that we want to measure in different campaigns. The purpose behind this is a massive enterprise deal that we've done with this client. Therefore, it was important for us to actually have these key metrics to track over the next 8 weeks. This was also something we did within an 8-week period. We could have actually contacted all 12,000 leads in the first week, but we broke it up across an 8-week period where the first 2 weeks was just built around which script, which angle is performing the best. And then we doubled down on the script that was. All right, cool. So that is essentially the entire system and setup. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're probably thinking, isn't this too complex to set up? Or you might be saying, I don't have a technical background, or that this seems like a lot of work. Now, the great thing about assignx is that it's designed to be simple. We've actually done a lot of the hard work in building out these agents and setting up the system. You do not need to be a tech expert to get started. You're just simply connecting CRMs or external systems that clients use to assignx. And then from there, you're pushing it into a calendar or a transfer to the agent, depending on what the conversion goal for them might be. Now, my favorite part, let's dive into the results. Okay, so the results in 8 weeks. First off, let's not forget to mention that they save about $15,000 per month in SDR labor costs. And the pipeline activity actually tripled. So we've not only activated 12,000 leads for them, but we've 3x their pipeline activity, meaning there's more deal flow coming in, meaning there's more questions, there's more customers being booked on the, or leads, I should say in this case, being booked on the calendar, which was a very important thing. And the expectation was exactly that. We want more deal flow. Now, the fulfillment time, which is something that I actually wanted to share with you guys, this is very important, is straight and narrow and to the point. Now, we kicked off with a 1-hour disco call, pretty standard. This allows us to understand their goals and objectives and expectations. We spent about 2.5 hours building out their agent, tying into their Salesforce CRM, and just setting up the SaaS that were needed on the back end. The beautiful thing about this is we've actually narrowed it down to about a 60-minute SOP. Then we did a 1-hour demo call, and the purpose of the demo call was to show them how the system runs, right? And that way, if they want to go in there and tweak something, whether it's the greeting, or maybe they want to bring in an entire set of different leads, or just whatever the case may be, they can now do that on their own. This demo call is important. This is actually how we pass off the platform and the agents to the customer, so that way they can continue to manage it on their own without having to call us, email us, text us about little things that they can do on their own. Now, there was an extended 1-hour support, which we actually built into the entire setup process. So we did a 1-hour support call. It was more so to kind of a review of how the campaigns are going, because we started off with some sort of split test to see which script would actually perform the best. So we had spent about an hour a week on that support call where we dive in and actually review the call performance, the booked appointments, the objection handling, and we optimize their agents or optimize the script in these calls. All right, let's talk about the investment. So they made a $10,000 initial investment for the setup, and they pay $599 per month. And in just 8 weeks, they've automated their lead qualification and appointment scheduling with AI, saving their team thousands in labor costs. Now, their team no longer has to manually follow up with the 12,000 leads each month, which frees up their reps to focus on high-value sales. All right, let's really talk about the opportunity at hand, though. This is the real opportunity at hand. Not only for us, but even for you if you want to tap into the solar industry. The TAM is there are 13,000 solar installation companies in the US across residential and commercial. The SAM is the industry employees of about 250,000 plus sales reps. Now let's assume a 10% adoption, and that's, let's say, 25,000 agents, right? Based off of the SAM, let's say our serviceable, attainable market is 10%. 25,000 agents. If 25,000 agents are on assignx on your agency plan at $299 per month, that's almost $100 million in ARR business. And that's the real opportunity at hand. Most of all these industries that I'm going to dive into in a second here are $100 million a year type of ICPs to serve. All right, let's show you the next setup that we built for an entirely different industry. Imagine a personal injury law firm handling dozens of intake calls per day. Now imagine AI doing all of that for them. This is Quirk Accidents and Injury Associates. They're a law firm specializing in personal injury cases with a high volume of incoming calls. And they needed a way to automate all these incoming calls and a way to actually qualify and screen leads more efficiently without overburdening their paralegal or intake team. So I like to always start with the expectations and goal behind every client we bring on. We're in law now. We're talking law firms. Now, this was actually quite an interesting case because there are various factors in a conversation, various answers that deem someone as qualified or unqualified. And so the build out for this was actually quite robust, and I had a great time building it out. Their secondary goal was speed up discovery process with AI prompts and commands. Now, what does that mean? Well, once a lead has actually come in, the AI has handled that intake, qualifying them. If they do decide to move forward with that actual lead, they may want to push that lead into a discovery stage where they want to gather maybe police reports, maybe pictures of the incident, and they don't really want to do it themselves. So they actually have an AI agent that reaches out to that lead, and we need this additional information. Can you email that to us? The AI will actually engage in a full-on conversation around the additional information that's needed for discovery. Okay, let's dive into the system integration. So we integrated Google My Business and Yelp leads into assignx for automatic intake. So when a lead calls, the AI actually answers, asks key questions, and qualifies the case. Now, if the lead is qualified, it then gets booked onto an appointment directly into the attorney's calendar and automatically log that data into their Clio CRM. If it's an existing client or an adjuster, then they are automatically routed to the appropriate team member at that law firm. Diving into the intake agent. So how does this really work? Well, a new lead will always call in, right? This is dedicated around the intake agent. So new lead calls in, Ava will answer, and she'll engage in the conversation and determine if this is a client or an adjuster. And if that's the case, well, they get forwarded. If it's a new lead that's calling about their case, maybe it's a car accident, maybe it's a slip and fall, maybe it's a dog bite. Well, Ava's going to dive further into that particular incident and determine if they are eligible or not. And if it's a med mal, Ozempic, or a work comp case, there's several other ways to handle that. Ava will actually be the one to address those initially before logging it into their CRM. Okay, let's talk about the second agent we built, which is the discovery agent. So in this firm's case, they have additional data they need to collect from the prospect, or the lead in this case. They have reviewed the case and they've determined this lead is actually qualified, but we need additional information. In their CRM, they're going to be able to actually add a tag, which then just sends that customer data over to Ava. And Ava handles that entire conversation and sends the disco data based on the outcome, right? At the end of the day, they do need the information Ava just collected. That gets passed back into their Clio CRM and updates the data within the contact directory. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what about managing the clients? Won't that be time consuming? That's the beautiful thing here. When we built this initially, it was for the end user, not even for agencies. This is a SaaS-like platform. It's one of those build it and leave it type of operation, unless you decide to offer an upsell for a once a week sync or a once a month sync. Listen, once the system is up, it runs automatically, and you're not handling the day-to-day operation. Their AI is there to do the work for them. Okay, let's dive into the results real quick. So what are the results? Well, 85% of the intake is now done by the AI. The remaining 15% actually happens from their website form, which is quite interesting to actually realize that a majority of their leads were coming directly from Google My Business or Yelp phone calls, which required a receptionist to take those calls on the daily. Now, the AI does it and takes up 85% of those intakes. The case qualification is now done in minutes. The AI can go through a series of conversations and determine if this person is qualified or unqualified, saving them 40 hours a week. What does this mean? Well, it reduces payroll and it means higher qualified cases. Okay, let's dive into the fulfillment time, which is always imperative in any kind of setup that we do. So how did it go? Well, we had a 1-hour disco call, pretty stock standard. It took us 3 hours to kind of build out this agent and tie in the integrations with their Google My Business, their Clio, and the AI platform. Now, we then went into a 1-hour demo call. Again, a very important step in our process, and it's worth the 1 hour to actually spend that time educating them on what's been set up. Because when they do take over, they know where to go and make those modifications. All right, let's talk about the investment. So the firm made an initial investment of $5,000 for setup, and that was split into two. And then they paid $5.99 per month for an AI-powered platform. Now, in the first month, they've been able to automate 85% of their intake calls and save over 40 hours a week. Hence why they've been a client for the past 7 months. They've actually been with us since February of this year, 2025. This means that their $5,000 setup was recouped in just the first month. And now the $5.99 is reoccurring cost. They continue to save and grow without having to increase their headcounts or overhead. Let's dive into the real opportunity ahead of us. So this is one of those things where it's not just build it for one specific client and you move on to the next client. This is the opportunity where you can actually scale this to a multi-million-dollar business. Let's dive in. So the total addressable market for law firms is about 450,000 in the US alone. The addressable market is about 10% conservatively speaking. That brings us to about 45,000 law firms that are actively seeking AI intake solutions. Now, in our case, Quarks was not actively seeking for an AI intake solutions. They just had a bunch of calls that were coming in and wanted to find a way to systemize and optimize that. So they actually don't even fall into the SAM. They may be part of the bigger SAM that's out there. The sum, let's assume 4%. That's about 15,000 law firms adopting this at about $5.99 per month. That puts us at about $107 million in ARR. That's the real opportunity ahead. Let's dive into some new features we actually rolled out and new things we integrated into their existing process and systems. I think you guys are going to actually like this. I should have probably prefaced this particular video to say wait till the end, although we're still not even at the end yet, because there's so many gems involved in this entire setup that we've done across different verticals. Let's dive into the new feature. You guys are going to actually get a kick out of this. So what you guys are seeing here is our version of, call it Alexa or Siri, but the AI can actually do those actions within those tools. We rolled out this feature called Actions, which allow your AI agent to integrate into any system, any tool, and take action. Let me give you guys some example use cases that we did for Quark in this case. So let's say the attorney comes to his AI and says, hey, what important meeting do I have this week? The AI is able to actually go into the calendar, look through all the upcoming events, determine what is important versus what is not, and let the person know that, hey, you've got these appointments coming up this week or this day, and handle that conversation in that way. What important emails do I have? Or create a reminder for XYZ at 5 p.m. As soon as that command is given to their AI, the AI is able to go into any tools that you've connected it to and take action. So there's personal management use case involved in this, and there's also case management use cases. For example, what evidence have we received on the XYZ case? The AI is able to go into their case management system, pull up the relevant case data, and then share that information with the attorney working on that case. Or the attorney may say, hey, create a new expense on Clio for XYZ. Well, the AI is actually able to log that new expense into that CRM. And this applies outside of law firms as well. I'm just giving you guys some examples within the law firm use case. Okay, let's dive into the next. And this will probably be the last industry I'll cover in this video. I just kind of wanted to really dive in and show you guys what you'll be doing with your own AI agency. So let's dive into real estate. This is actually one of my favorites. I'd like to introduce you to Charles Netter, who is the brokerage owner at Berkshire Hathaway. So Charles's expectation coming into this was that he wanted to generate more leads, qualified leads for his brokerage and the 20 plus agents he has in the brokerage. So high level, free up agents from cold calling themselves, get more listings, and eventually more closed deals. System integration. Let's talk about the setup that we have here for Charles. He uses Vulcan 7. This is where his leads live. And he pushes his leads from Vulcan 7 over to a CRM, which is known as Follow Up Boss. And from Follow Up Boss, we push that lead data over to his AI agents on assignx. And just as you guys have seen before, the AI goes in, books the appointment, or transfers it to one of his team members based on certain conditions in the conversation. Now, how did we set this up? Well, from Vulcan 7, we're pushing those leads via a webhook to Follow Up Boss. And from Follow Up Boss, we've got a Zapier set up that pushes those leads over to assignx. Now, once the AI agents we've built qualify, book, or determine, hey, these people, although they didn't book, are considered hot leads based on the signals in the conversation, it sends that data right back to Follow Up Boss and updates the contact for them. So now a human in the loop comes in and is able to continue on the next steps. All right, diving into this quick Zapier format, actually, we're going to skip this for now. There's quite a lot of data. The agents, so we've got William Carter. Speed to lead is objective. They also get leads from Realtor.com and Zillow.com. And when those leads come in, their team is a little bit bogged up to jump on that call within 5 minutes or jump on that lead within 5 minutes and make that call. So we actually built 2 separate scripts that we can split test. Very fun process. I recommend you guys also do it in your agent building process. It lets you know which agent is actually succeeding with the conversation. So it's a great way to split test. It's kind of like putting 2 sales guys and giving them 2 separate scripts and saying which one actually performs better. Then we've got John Anderson, who's built for lead reactivation. They also had a little over 10,000 leads sitting in their CRM that they wanted to reach out and reactivate. This is a combination of buyers and sellers, so conversation varies depending on the type of lead you're reaching out to. And then we had Georgia, whose main objective was to handle the expired listings. If you're not in real estate, you might not be too familiar with this. So what went into building these agents? Well, the knowledge base was one thing, and most agents actually come with a knowledge base. If you want to give them the website or product information or service information, and then we built pipeline for each agent and each objective. So in this case, since we have leads coming from Zillow and Redfin, Realtor.com, we wanted to be able to create different pipelines, 2 separate pipelines, just for those 2 to say, hey, we've received 20 leads this month from this source versus that source. All right, let's dive into the results, which actually are quite important in this case. So real estate deals actually see results almost instantly because they've got an opportunity in their pipeline and it's actually booked on the calendar and it's actually a big ticket item. So in this case, in just 3 weeks, there's a testimonial video he actually did for us. If you guys find it somewhere, watch it. It was actually incredible. He secured 3.4 million in deals just in under 3 weeks. That was 4 listings booked. That's 2 or more ISA roles replaced. He actually talks about that in the testimonial video. Highly recommend you guys give it a look. Fulfillment time, my favorite, right? We've already covered the disco call, so you guys are familiar with that by now. We have about 1.5 hours to build out the agents and tie in the systems you guys saw with Vulcan, Follow Boss. I should have also added actually Realtor and Zillow, but that wasn't in there. And the 1-hour demo call. Let's dive into the investment that Charles made. Okay, so he had a 3K setup, paid for itself just in the first week. And now he's paying the $5.99 or $97 in this case per month, which is an absolute steal for the amount of pipeline value he's built. This is actually a screenshot from our testimonial call because he was just thrilled with the results he was seeing. Now let's really hone in on the opportunity ahead. So if we look at the real estate market opportunity, there are about 1.5 million realtors in the US alone. The SAM is about 280,000. These are active agents with 5+ deals per year in the last 3 years. So their average is about 5 deals per year, spread across 3 years. If we look at a 10% adoption, it's about 28,000 agents. But let's say we take 5% of the 280,000, the SAM. That's about 14,000 agents that use assignx at $5.97 per month. Got yourself a $100 million business in ARR. And we've got various industries and verticals you guys can jump into. There's insurance agencies and insurance agents. You've got the home services, the plumbers, the electricians that need AI support for handling leads. Med spas that are receiving dozens of calls per day for new clients or existing clients. My favorite is actually the Facebook ads and offers because you know they're paying for ads and you know they have an issue with speed to lead and you know that they struggle and they cycle through setters. So it's actually super bullish on that one. The e-com is a big play here. So think Shopify stores, think e-com stores that now have a chatbot down at the bottom right corner, but instead of it being a chatbot that we're all so used to, it's an AI agent that can actually talk to the customer, handling refund questions, handling upsells, actually issuing a refund. All right, currently we're at about 745 customers registered on Stripe, helping them secure 93.2 million in deals just in the last 6 months. And it doesn't stop there. There are dozens of more industries that are just as primed for an AI revolution. These are just a few 100 million ARR industries just waiting to be tapped into. Okay, we've already seen results across the board. Right now, we have 745 customers registered on Stripe, and collectively, our platform has helped customers secure 93.2 million in deals for their businesses. That's the kind of growth you can be enabling, helping businesses scale faster, save time, and make more money with AI. So the real question is, will this actually work for you? Here's the truth. assignx is perfect if you're ready to put in the work to grow your agency and are willing to learn and adapt at your scale. It works if you're targeting industries that need sales and customer support, where AI will save time, reduce overhead, and generate qualified leads. But here's who assignx won't work for. If you're looking for a get-rich-quick solution with minimal effort, or you're not willing to invest time into learning the ropes or running an agency, then this may not be the right fit. It's designed for entrepreneurs that see the opportunity and want to scale with their own AI agency, not for those looking for passive income without putting in the work. If you're an entrepreneur that sees the opportunity, I'll see you in the community.